I am out of the shower. Time for vitamins because I forgot before I went in. Taking them this late is not great. Usually makes me nauseous. And I've already got a migraine, so that's great. I ran on the treadmill earlier and it was getting towards sunset time. Cold water a must right now because it is so hot. The screen on the treadmill was really messing with my eyes. I guess I've never really thought about how that would affect me if I'm running when it's starting to get dark, because usually I run earlier in the day. So now I have a migraine. First of all, welcome. This is part 3 in a middle grade horror series that I've been doing for a few years now. I took a hiatus from YouTube without any warning, so there was no video last year. So technically, book 3, the book I'm reading right now, I was supposed to read last year. Oops. So here we are. I was thinking about doubling up this year, but my library does not actually have the 4th book. I was gonna comb my hair and tell you what the book's about, but I'm just now blanking on the title. So it is the Small Spaces Quartet by Katherine Arden. If you don't know already, her, is it young adult? Yeah, her young adult fantasy series, I don't think it's called The Bear and the Nightingale. I think it's called something else. But that first book, The Bear and the Nightingale, in that trilogy, one of my favorite books of all time. I've only read it once. I need to reread it. But I loved that book so much. Didn't know she had done a middle grade horror series, so I was very curious about it. I've never been a horror girl in anything, but my brother loves Halloween, so for years now I've become a horror movie girl and some TV. Never done books, and I thought middle grade would be a good place to start. It wouldn't be that scary. Turns out I was wrong. Reading the first 2 in the dark freaked me out. And this year, we are on Dark Waters. So book 1 is Small Spaces, that is set in autumn. Book 2, Dead Voices, winter. We are now on Dark Waters, which does give summer vibes, but it's actually in April, which is spring. I am just over halfway done with the audiobook. I was supposed to be reading both the audiobook and the ebook, but the audiobook is not working on my library app for some reason. So I've just been listening to the audiobook in the bath with one light turned off. Not both, but one, okay? And I had this spooky summer camp ambiance. What is on my leg? I really hope that was just a hair. This spooky summer camp ambiance video going, which was very spooky, but also like the perfect video. So just over the halfway point, the three main characters are back. Ollie and her friends Coco and Brian. So in book one, during a school field trip, they were all taken by this creepy villain called the Smiling Man, and one by one he was turning the kids into scarecrows. Ollie also, I can't remember how, but somewhere along the way she was given a watch that gives her messages, and she believes that it's actually her deceased mother helping her, which just adds to the creepy factor. And then in book two, in wintertime, the three friends find themselves, is it a ski lodge? It's like a ski lodge or like a mountain lodge, that kind of thing. The winter vibes were great, but oh my god, that one was so creepy. It had to do with, I think the mountain lodge used to be like a hospital or like an orphanage, and so it has to do with like the ghosts of the kids, and there's like a Ouija board, which I don't mess with. The Ouija board wasn't a huge factor, but they mostly used it to communicate with each other. I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about book two. And now book three, springtime, they're still reeling from what happened in book two, and they're invited on this boat trip to look for their town's version of the Loch Ness Monster. I think they called it Champ. It's Lake Champlain. They live in a town in Vermont, Lake Champlain. I think they call the monster Champ. Did I make that up? I can't remember. All I know is that it's their version of the Loch Ness Monster. They think, oh, this is going to be like a great thing to get our minds off of everything we've been going through. Nothing could possibly happen with our parents there. And then, naturally, strange things start happening on the boat. They end up stranded. And that's where we're at. I don't know if that was too much to tell you. Oh no, that's what the synopsis says. When a lake monster destroys their boat, they end up shipwrecked on a deserted island. Okay. I did a good job. That's where I am. My sleep schedule was really good until last week. I'm trying to get it back on track, but naturally I decided that a late night reading vlog was something I could do while trying to get my sleep schedule back on track. It is 11:37, so it's not going to be an early night for me. But let's see where we are in the audiobook. I have 2 hours and 13 minutes remaining, and I am listening on 2 times the speed. So it should only take me, I think, like roughly an hour. Right? 2 times the speed. That seems about right. I was bummed about the ebook not working, but since I have a migraine now, I'm actually kind of glad that I can just lay down and shut my eyes and listen, because my head hurts so bad. I think between the treadmill screen and low-key being dehydrated, it is so hot. We have an extreme heat warning all week in my city, actually in my county. So that sucks. It does not feel like fall at all. I suppose it's a good thing this middle grade horror book is actually a springtime slash summertime vibe, because I don't think fall and winter would feel right now. Okay, took my vitamins, cool water, combed my hair. I'm gonna lay down on our upgraded bed on the floor and listen to the rest of this audiobook, and then I'll give you my final thoughts.
Chapter 10. In the woods, the shadows were getting longer and longer. It would be dark soon.
Coco?
Brian called when he got into the trees.
Phil?
Silence met his call. He felt a little cold finger of dread creep down his spine. A few minutes ago, they'd been stepping on branches and calling to each other in the gathering shadows.
Hey!
He bellowed.
Coco! Phil!
Still nothing. He started to push through the woods, calling their names. The silence seemed to drill into his head. Where were they?
Okay, number one, I was pronouncing the name of the lake wrong. It's not, what did I say, Champlain? Champlain. It's like champ and plain put together. Okay? Number two, I do find this lake monster thing interesting because the cover of the book has what appears to be a giant, scary-looking fish, which does look like a monster. But as far as I know, it is a very real kind of fish. And I just assumed it was used because it's so scary-looking. But then they're talking about the monster in the book being snake-like. And I'm so confused. I don't know if Katherine Arden just wanted some mystery to the monster, but I do find it interesting that this lake monster isn't clearly defined, because once you've seen the cover of the book, it puts a very specific picture in your head. And then they're talking about a snake. That puts another specific picture in your head. But then they're like, it's a snake, but also a fish. But I can't put the snake in my head together with the fish in my head, because how? I'm so confused. I thought it was Champlain, but now it sounds like she's saying Champlain, like champagne, but with plain at the end. I can't tell. Lake Champlain or Lake Champlain. Is it just because I'm tired? This is not even like the most important detail of the story, but it kind of is, because it's the location of the whole thing. I also had to re-familiarize myself with the name of the characters, because maybe it's because I'm listening to it on 2 times speed when I'm tired and I have migraine. But I could have sworn the friend's name is Brian, Coco, and Ollie. But sometimes it sounds like she's saying Ryan. But it is Brian. It just sounds like Ryan. It's probably because I'm listening to it on 2 times speed. Anyways, back to the book. We have less than an hour to go. We are almost done. Sorry if I don't look great. I don't think you can tell on camera. I don't feel good. Between the migraine and possibly being dehydrated and feeling nauseous from my vitamins, I'm in the trenches, okay? It's bad. Oh, my arms. I feel like I'm gonna, pass out. Let's get the dumb stuff out of the way. So, upon reflection, the creature on the cover of the book does actually look like it could be some kind of giant snake-like lake monster. That's also a fish. So, I'd like to formally apologize to Katherine Arden because I really wasn't even thinking giant snake when I first saw it. Maybe the design could have been slightly more obvious, but it's fine. The premise of this book was great. The whole thing about it being on a lake where there's some kind of, what do you call it, fabled or, yeah, I guess like fabled lake monster, whatever that word is, and getting shipwrecked on an island, that sort of spring going into summer vibe. All of that was so promising. And here's the thing. I don't want to be scared, but the whole point of reading this series on camera is to capture me being scared for your enjoyment. Do I look scared? No. And that's the problem. Maybe I could have turned off the light. Maybe that would have made it scarier. I love that each book has its own vibe. That's not the problem. I just felt like this one wasn't as successful. And yes, maybe in 2 years I've matured. Maybe I've watched more horror movies with my brother, and maybe if I went back to the first 2 books, I wouldn't be as scared of them either. That's possible, but I doubt it. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I'm kind of torn. I don't think it deserves less than 3 because I think 3 is perfect. Because on one hand, I don't think the book was the scariest in this series. But on the other hand, it's also possible that the kind of horror it was, if you can even call it horror, actually. I guess like you could call it like a monster movie kind of horror. Not movie, obviously. Maybe more in that genre, but maybe that's not something that scares me. I mean, the first book deals with creepy scarecrows. The second book deals with child ghosts and a Ouija board. Maybe those things just scare me more. And that's why I hesitate to ding the book. I still enjoyed my time with you tonight, and I was about to say I can't wait for the 4th and final book, but I can. It's clowns, and those I am terrified of, okay? I had a grandma who collected them, and you would think that would have desensitized me. But it did not. That is it. I hope you enjoyed this quick little one-night reading vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to stick around and be part of my YouTube family, hit that red button down below to subscribe. That is it for me. I will see you in my next vlog. We always watch something in these vlogs before we go to sleep, right? So we can actually sleep, although I wasn't really scared. So I think I could honestly fall asleep immediately, especially because I'm so exhausted. But I actually thought of something perfect to put on. And it's not super long. It's only going to be like 20 minutes. And let's see if you can guess it. We are going to Camp Wannaweep.
bookish.
I heard that, Squeeb. Remember me?
Not really, and I gotta tell you, I think I'd remember.
Oh, come on, Ronnie, think. We switched places. You took my arts and crafts, and I took your swim time.
Gil?
Gil.
Gil who?
Oh, I am no longer Gil. Now I am Gil!
What's the difference?
I added an L, as in Gil, as in these things that grew when I mutated.